It's time to move to our last segment of the day. We're going to be looking at the future of individual savings in relation to new technologies. And once again, we're going to start off with a short video. Now, to discuss this topic, I'd like to welcome three distinguished guests today. Head of Sales and Customer Service at Rabobank, Bart Horsten, also CEO of Hargreaves, Lansdown, Christopher Hill, and finally, Director of Digital Finance at the Institute of International Finance, Conan French. Hello to you all, gentlemen. I'll get you to take your microphones and let's dive right in. I'm going to start with Conan. Trends in technology applied to finance. What ones do you find most interesting, and more broadly, what technologies do you think are going to have a lasting impact on society?
Well, I think what's topped the list in the last 2 days will top my list as well, and that's artificial intelligence. AI is seeing another breakthrough moment. It's been a technology that's held a lot of future promise since 1950, but I think this year with OpenAI, ChatGPT, and then
it really hit the public domain, didn't it?
It hit the public domain. It's captured everybody's attention, and I think that's for a few key reasons. Bringing that mechanization, automation, and transformation to cognitive work is something that has eluded digital transformation for quite a while now. And when we look at the market signals, it's already driving valuations. If you look at NVIDIA and Meta's rebound and Alphabet and others. So there's a strong market signal there already. People are rushing to try to put some numbers against some things. An investment bank estimated that perhaps in one or two industries, up to $4 trillion per decade. McKinsey has estimated perhaps $4.4 trillion annually to global GDP. And with those numbers, again, it's early, it's noisy, a lot is unclear, a lot is being labeled AI that might not be AI, but with all of that rush, it's certainly going to transform the operating environment. And I think that it will change customer interfaces as much as the iPhone did. I think it might even be more transformative over the near term. So that's clearly at the top of the list, but what I would say is it's really the confluence of AI with all of the other things that have happened in digital transformation over the past couple of decades. When you look at cloud computing and data and the growth of data and the ability to move and manage that data, or quantum and edge computing that's coming on fast, and that's a whole other conversation. Tokenization and ledger technologies, again, they're having a bit of a pullback moment, but I think when we look at what a digital economy needs, for format and factor, for programmability and automation. Again, it's the confluence of all of these things with AI having a breakthrough moment that I think is the real story here.
So, I mean, even if those impressive numbers are not realised, we know it will be a game changer. But with that comes risks, of course. And what's your view on the risks associated with AI within finance in particular? Because we could talk about it for health and for human well-being, but in finance.
Well, it's really a disruption moment, and I think that with that always come the opportunities. So we like to look at risks. That's our nature in financial services with very good reasons. And I think here it's really a question of governance and oversight. We've spent centuries trying to figure out how to govern and oversee humans, and a lot of careful attention at conduct and culture in our industry, and figuring out how we govern and oversee these models, I think, is the real issue.
But it's moving faster than perhaps we can keep up.
It's moving faster, and of course that's the other vector, is it's going to be a very significant disruption, and so it will be difficult to anticipate who will ride that wave with great success and who might be caught up by it.
I'm going to turn to Bart now. What challenges do banks face in digitalizing their services in your experience?
Well, I think to start off with the good news, I think banks have already come a long way in digitizing their product services. We see that already in our organization. I think customer interaction through apps has risen like tenfold. But this is the next step. This is the next league. So we see a number of challenges. First of all, the speed. If you see with what speed the new technologies are coming up, and how you have to organize this within your organization, I think that's the biggest challenge. This is moving much faster than most of us in our IT departments can handle. Secondly, we also face some legacy issues in terms of IT, which makes things a bit more complicated. And what also happening is that already from an early stage, risk departments, compliance departments, and privacy officers step in.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge, because there you see that it's slowing down while others are speeding up. On the other hand, it does help to focus a bit more and to also challenge and face the risks of that. Secondly, I would say the adoption rate for clients. As I said, technology is moving so fast, and I think faster than most clients or employees can adapt to. So you really have to be very careful on how you launch new technology to your clients, and are they able and willing to use it?
Are they ready?
Yeah, are they ready, and can you help them using them? We introduced a voice bot 2 years ago, and we got many complaints of clients not wanting to talk to a robot and things like that, and it took time. So you need to guide clients and your staff in that. And lastly, I would say accessibility. Accessibility for clients. We have around 20 to 25% of clients who are not self-reliant, so they need assistance, they need help. I think technology will really help them, but they should not be left out in this transition. So you really have to take care of that, I think, with priority.
You're touching on clients then. How can institutions use AI and other emerging technologies for more efficient and personalized approaches? You said they don't want to speak to a robot at the same time, and how do you ensure this human element that everyone hopefully still wants?
Yes, I think conversational AI will be the big game changer here. As I said, I think banks have come a long way in digitizing product services, but improving on conversational AI and the way you interact with your clients, that's really going to be the big next step. And I think in combination with cloud computing or even quantum computing in terms of data analytics skills and capabilities, that's going to be very efficient and also very personal. And I think it will add to customer satisfaction, it will definitely help sales growth, and it will reduce cost. And I think cost will be more in the human-to-human element. And I think it's interesting, because I would regard this as some kind of a digital paradox. So the more digital we become, the more important probably the quality of human-to-human interaction will become. But it will change. So the easy flow will go to the app or to other opportunities to interact with your company. But the way clients think when it turns out to be an emotional journey or a complex journey, they really want to talk to someone. And if I talk to people in the advisory business, they say the type of questions they get are different than a few years ago. So what we are now currently doing is redefining roles of employees so that they can move along with the technology change. And we have identified 3 new roles which they most likely will identify. Its first role is problem solver. If a client is not able to fix his or her problem in the app, he will contact someone, and he has to have the mandate and the authority to fix it at one go. The second one is journey control. If you have a more complex journey, you have to empower your employees to go through all the layers in that journey and to make sure that they are being served excellently. And thirdly is value employee. So how do you still add value in terms of revenues and client value at certain points of the client journey? So they will still be there, but in a different role.
Different roles. I'm going to turn to Christopher now. Your platform is 100% online. So how do you ensure top customer service and client kind of satisfaction?
Well, I think, Bart, thank you. You've made some of this easy for me to answer because, so we have 1.8 million clients. We don't call them customers. And when we are interacting with them, and 98% of what we do is all online, and you've got to focus on the basics because this is all about helping people to manage their life savings. And people get very passionate very, very quickly about that. And therefore, when you're interacting with them, the most important thing is the experience that they have, which is not always governed by the results of what they do. It's half of it is going to be how they feel as they go through it. Mm-hmm. So you have to concentrate on the excellence of the journeys, and the experience is the combination of the proposition, which needs to fit with what their needs, what they're looking to do, but also the service that then supports that. So we look at net ease scores for all of our journeys. We do have a help desk. We don't call it a call center, it's a help desk, because when people call in, we like to be able to help them instantly to resolve their issues. But we only have...
So that's the problem solver.
Yeah, that's right. That's why Bart's made it easy for me. But we have about 1.4 million calls a year into the help desk. But the halo impact of that help desk is significant. So when people are interacting with us digitally, they have that in the back of their minds. They know that there's a human that they can talk to. But we're focusing on the fundamentals, which is all about service, digital or otherwise.
How do you think digital platforms can improve financial inclusion and attract new clients? And do you think that digital platforms can leverage new technologies to guide investors to make investment decisions?
Massively, in one word. The reason being, I think, we saw this through the pandemic. We added about 700,000 clients through the pandemic because people had more time. They weren't going out, so they had money. And they started to do that thing that they'd had on their to-do list for ages, which is, I need to sort out my investment. What was interesting through that is we saw, therefore, the average age was a lot younger, more like sort of 35, 36 on average. But what we did see was people buying individual stocks, airline stocks, hospitality stocks. And as we interacted with them and said, what is it that you're looking to do? And they told us we're looking to invest, which is interesting because invest talks about long-term intent. So we sat back and thought, well, what does that mean? That they're trying to do long-term investing, but actually they're going to single volatile stocks. So we came up with this iterative process of sending them nudges. So online, they'd find it on social media, just getting them to think about some of the fundamentals of investing. It was the, Douglas earlier on kicked off with the only free lunch in finance is diversification. Einstein, the eighth wonder of the world is compound interest. And those who understand it receive it, those who don't pay it. Most people don't know that. So through nudges, getting people to understand the basics of investing, we put out articles like Invest Like Buffett, and people would read that, absorb, understand the power of long-term holding, diversification, and then helping them with UK focus, so from a UK tax-effective perspective. So what's happening there is increasingly personalized communications. And it's very interesting now, and I talk about the UK, but also have one eye in terms of how Europe is shaping up. The UK is far more, in its regulation, far more consumer-focused. And we're now talking about, rather than a restrictive advice regime, one around personalized guidance, which allows us to use the data, the broad-reaching data that we have on consumers, to be able to personalize that engagement. And that has a significant impact on their long-term investing success.
You mentioned there's something important, the average age, it was 35 or so, and you talked about social media. I think, the digital literacy of the people who are going to be coming on board to invest in the coming decades is also going to really change the way that you need to approach this technology.
Yes, I think that's right. The other we saw through the pandemic that more and more people were just, because they had to, comfortable with using digital means. And that's not going to go away. That's a habit that's in there now. And I think with increasing use of data and personalization, what we're then going to see is, and I think we can see it now, quite frankly, the ability of firms to be able to have a relationship with clients through purely digital means. Now, there is the need for problem solvers, there is the need for journey makers, but I think that the ability then to support people, it's all about confidence.
If they're feeling supported in the digital service, they won't need to call the problem solver.
That there will be times when they want to know that the human is there, but that level of personalization engagement using data, I think, will transform the way that people manage their money.
I'm going to turn to you, Conan. AI, big data, can it be used to democratize financial services, and how?
The answer is yes, and we've heard some great stories of how other technologies have been used to transform that customer engagement and that customer story. And I think AI and big data, it's all about a global trend of better identifying customer needs and then providing them with solutions. And I think that's the great promise that we have here. But enable to do that and also meet those productivity and operational stories that we hope for with AI and big data as well, you'll need to combine lots of different types of data. And that's where the policy is really starting to impact the operating environment. You see a global trend of policymakers and regulators focused on open banking and open finance and breaking open that data for a one-way flow, just at a time that platformization and embedded finance have really taken off. And so I think giving a bit of a rethink to how do we, as a sector, work with the public sector at better delivering on that customer need and that customer story and that customer engagement, I think will be important. For instance, when you look at what Amazon can do for small and medium-sized enterprises with their credit facility, that starts to give you a hint of where this could go if we don't think about it well. So I think the story here and the story with savings, I think it should be good for democratizing, opening up, providing more relevant products and services, contact points, meeting customers where they are. But that will really require a very thoughtful policy approach for the operating environment.
I have one last question for all of you, and that question is, it's the last panel really of this Geopolitics and Energy Transition Forum, and that question is, where will the pieces fall for new technologies? Which one's going to win? Where will the losers be? Let's start with Conan.
Okay, winners and losers. Well, I think that technologies...
Will there be any losers?
Technologies that deliver on trust and value will be winners, and hopefully we as a society and industry sector will all be winners. I think that the standouts, as I mentioned, AI, because of its cognitive power. Again, this is a very broad class of computing. It will become very important to define what we're talking about when talking about AI. There are some classes of algorithms that financial services have very good governance and oversight mechanisms in place for. But if the formula is managed correctly, I think AI, quantum computing, again, because it can predict probabilistic outcomes in a way that could transform or should transform modeling. So things that classical computing wasn't very good at over the last half century, quantum computing may be really transformative for. And then tokenization and ledger technology, I know with the crypto winter, it's a bit of counter-cyclical, but I think when I see why Augustin Carstens of the Bank for International Settlements is so focused on a unified programmable ledger and what a future digital economy with modern manufacture, different IP flows need, I think that technology is going to be a winner as well. Losers, I would say those who maybe overhype or rush the impact and implementation and get valuations wrong might be the losers.
Thank you very much. Christopher,
well,
or have we covered it all there?
Well, I can build on that. I think it's all about personalization. and personalized nudges are 3 times as effective as anything else. And I think the ability to use all of the data that's available on a particular client is going to be game-changing, really. On the basis that it's very difficult to predict or understand what one person's going to do. It's a lot easier to do it when you've got 1,000 people. And when you think about that, this is all then about how you use the power of data and the technologies that are emerging. And I think companies that get it right will do it because they are focused on the consumer. Companies that get it wrong will lose because they purely only focus on the product. And what data and this new technology allows you to do is to have a far, far better engagement. And that's what I think the key to success is.
Final words?
Well, I can build on that, Chris. Yes, as discussed, I think all AI technologies, especially conversational AI, will really transform banking. And I think larger banks, which still have in general, good reputation, a lot of data, and then applying this with new technology is really going to make the difference. I think the main difference will be made in everything around customer experience, customer interaction. And I think your best product is only as good as your worst customer experience. So I would recommend everyone to focus on that. You can really, if you have 1 year of underperformance in one of your funds, but your customer experience is excellent, then you have more credit. So I would recommend to focus on that.
It's very interesting to hear, these emerging technologies and these high technologies and coming back to a very simple concept, focus on the client experience. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for this engaging conversation. It's been a pleasure.